You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Batuta Advocate on Desert Rock FM.
Welcome back to the Batuta Advocate podcast. This week, in the spirit of our beloved Matildas, we're going to interview someone who also performed in Homebush terrifically on Wednesday night, just next door to the Matildas at the Kudos Bank Arena.
Quite a fitting ode, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. This was his semi-final, you could argue. Two similar moments last Wednesday, I noticed. Everyone's saying we need to take this seriously, capitalise on the rise of women's soccer in Australia. We need to take this seriously. And at the same time, we're saying the same thing about country music, basically across the same amount of time. You know, we've got this Luke Combs tour in Australia, and it's basically running concurrently with, you know, the finals. And it's exactly that. Country music's having a moment as well, a similar moment that you could draw a parallel to. And we need to champion this moment and take advantage of it and capitalise on it. And one person who is doing that and is helping us do that is today's guest, who opened down there at Kudos Bank Arena, Lane Pittman. Thank you for joining us.
No, thanks for having me, boys. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Thank you for letting me kind of ramble a little bit with that intro. But I am seeing, you know, a renaissance in country music, much like what we're seeing with our Tillies.
Yeah. Country music, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, has been massive. And recently with Luke's cover of Fast Car, that's been on all the mainstream radio. I'm just cruising down the street and I'll turn on Kiss and hear a country song and I'm like, well, that wouldn't have happened 6 months ago. Yeah,
it wouldn't have. But that said, you've covered Yusuf Islam yourself, mate. Cat Stevens. Yeah. Not too far off, in fact, those kind of eras of music. What did you grow up on?
Oh, it was a bit of everything, but it was mostly 90s and even your earlier country, like Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson,
Hillbilly Deluxe.
Oh, what an album! And you get guys like George Strait, Randy Travis, Garth Brooks. Like, there was such a diverse range of country.
Now, you Tamworth boy, or is this like what I want to figure out now? Is Tamworth the Australian version? I know it's Australia's Nashville, but is it Australia's Nashville in the sense that people move from different parts of the world and move there and say they're from there? Like, Nashville's full of country musicians, but, you know, you could argue Luke Combs is from Nashville. That's where he lives, but he's in North Carolina. Are you an actual Tamworth boy?
I was not born there, no.
No, right.
I was born in Mount Isa.
Oh, right. Well, you're further west than Tamworth. I'm not saying that you're more country and western than Tamworth then, mate.
Born there, and we moved in 2010, so 13 years this year. And
oh, right.
It's pretty much home.
You grew up there, really.
You grew up between Mount Isa and Tamworth. I wasn't trying to catch you out there that you grew up in Bondi Beach. But,
he's got his country stripes.
Big time. We were just up there at the rodeo.
Yeah.
On the weekend.
It looked like a good time. I was bummed out. We were at the entertainment centre with Luke.
Of course.
Good to get up.
Now, tell me, met your old pop outside. Was there a bit of Slim Dusty getting played around the house when you were younger?
Oh, yes. Yep. Yeah, love a bit of Slim. He still tries to convince me every now and then. Like, we're working at set list. He's like, you should throw like some old stuff in there. And
absolutely.
I'm like, oh, if it worked that way these days, I would. Like, don't get me wrong, you could play it like Duncan and Kudos Bank Arena would go off.
Yeah.
But it's like, you just got to find your own balance, I guess.
For sure, find your sound. Tell me, I want to hear about the rise of Lane. It's been a fast one. How old are you now?
17.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, he's got a long way. He's got a long career ahead of him if he's already playing Kudos Bank Arena. Tell us how you got to where you are, mate.
Oh, I'll cast your minds back to like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what you boys were doing, but I was in year 3.
Yeah.
I was in year 3 and we had a brand new teacher start at school and she's like, everybody in my class is joining the choir. I'm starting a choir.
Yeah.
I went home and I told mum and dad and I got a funny look from them. They're like, oh, shit, we thought you'd do a sport or something, you know. But stuck with the singing, and by the end of primary school, I was the only boy left. And
right.
Kind of from the start of high school, I decided that music was going to be the path for me.
Yeah, right.
And the voice obviously springboarded it.
Yeah.
How did that process come about? Was it like the parents saying you got to do it, but people at school saying you got to do it?
It was all my mates. Full credit to the boys for this one. We were sitting in like geography class, and they're like, Lane, sign up for The Voice. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, no, we won't rip on you. We actually like your voice now. It sounds pretty good. They're like, don't dog us. Come tomorrow and show us that you filled out the paperwork. So I went home and I started filling it out that day at school and went home. And obviously being underage, they're like, we need a parent's signature. So I go home and Mum's in the lounge room. I said, oh, Mum, can you just fill out this form for me? She's like, oh, what is it? Some school, like excursion or something? No, just applying for the voice. She's like, oh, okay.
That's a great example of peer pressure, isn't it? Peer pressure.
So it was
for good,
positive example.
Because that's a classic sledge. People always go, oh, mate, you should go on Australian Idol or you should go on The Voice when you've got a notably shit voice.
Yeah.
But no, the boys are going, you actually got a really good voice. Go and do it.
They were serious when they said it. Now, one thing I'm interested in learning that you were actually born after 9/11 is I want to know, when you listen to your music, Lane, it could be a 30-something-year-old. It could be someone as old as Luke Combs. It could be someone as old as Tim McGraw singing it. So were you singing like that when you were in high school? Were you singing, like your voice had broken, you were singing country songs like that?
Yeah. There's a lot of the country stuff like that. And it's probably like in between year 7 and 8s when puberty really hit hard. And I learned how to play the guitar those holidays, and I went back to school, and everyone's like, holy, Lane can actually sing now. He doesn't sound like a 12-year-old girl anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the choir boy that we remember, You would have been 16 when the Luke Combs tour was announced. So right now we're in a moment right now. This is all within, this is the first year of your career, would you say? Like that? Yeah.
And you played Luke Combs for your Blind Edition song on The Voice, right?
Yeah.
How surreal is it?
It's
opening up for him at a packed out Kudos Bank Arena.
Yeah, it's all full circle. I mean, last time he was here in 2019, he played the Enmore here in Sydney, and I was on some random bloke's shoulders. He's like, get on my shoulders for my favourite song. And like Luke pointed at me like at the end of I think it was like Hurricane was playing, and he pointed at me, and I walked out that night and I was like, yeah, my life's made. Combs pointed at me. And now it's kind of being here and meeting Luke and his band.
Did you get to tell him that yarn?
Oh, I have not. Mum's got the video. She's trying to convince me to show it to him, but I don't want to look too fanboy. It's like me. I didn't have my mother. Dad like a buzz cut, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing.
Were you more nervous going out on stage to play or meeting Luke?
I think it was meeting Luke. We met by chance I was walking out of my dressing room at the entertainment centre. He was walking out of his, and I saw him, and I was like,
they got you next to each other there.
Oh yeah, well, that was a little. That was a little bit, like we're all in the same little close quarters.
So there was you and Cody.
Yeah.
Texan Man.
Yes.
It was a good little cross section of music there on stage. You all touring together?
Yeah.
You go on every show?
Yeah, we do every show. Me and Cody.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, no, I met Cody last night in passing, and I said to him, I was actually just saying, you look like you're off to a rodeo.
Yeah.
He goes, I've just been at one.
Yeah.
The yarn was he was up in Singleton and won the horse rope toss.
Yeah.
Up in the Hunter. So, like, that's real credibility, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing, this guy's pulling up.
Earning a bit of pocket money for the tour.
He's like, a bit of extra change.
Yeah, no. I was like, it's one thing to, like, you know, kind of enter a rodeo and then to win it.
Yeah.
Like, while you're on tour from Texas, it was the real deal.
Yeah.
What are those guys like? Are they country people? Are they similar?
Oh yeah, they're really down to earth, which is so good. Like I've become good friends with Cody's drummer Miles. He is such a ripper drummer.
Yeah, right.
And like every night we'll hang out. Same with Luke's band. They're all just a bunch of lads.
Yeah, they're all. He was introducing them all, so they're like Mississippi, and then he's got them down on the border from Mexico, and they're all from different country town guys, right?
It does seem like it has a really feel-good element to it. Like everyone seems to get on and there's a good vibe around it. What is it like being a part of that kind of team and travelling around with those boys? Is it just a lot of fun?
It is. It's a hell of a lot of fun. And even like everybody in the crew, they're just like their whole crew, Luke's crew, Cody's crew, every night, like they'll pick up on little tidbits from the show. Like this is our first time doing big arenas like this, and they're like, oh, you could try that tonight and see how it goes. And we try it, and the crowd eating up, and I'm like, okay, well that's going to stay for the rest of the set, and you'll try something, and it won't kind of hit the right way, but it's a learning experience.
It must be a tough kind of performance because you kind of got to go through all of the different emotional layers. You got to go through, you know, like I look at your set, all three of you last night. That you've got your sad song, you got your love song, and then you've got your party songs.
Yeah.
And you've got to be on that level for every song because the crowd wants to be there.
Yeah.
Is it exhausting stuff?
Oh, it is, and I mean, if you would have seen the show, I do my sprint around at the end of the
I
set.
saw you run, say g'day, run at the back.
That is a cardio workout.
Yeah.
It is a good, solid run. I'll come off stage and I'm sweating and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised by how much that goes into it. And then you look at Luke. I mean, you're too young, of course, but then Luke, he's chugging beers on stage and he's doing all that for.
It was a Bam Bam and Latrell Mitchell last night.
Yeah, Latrell
I walked past Bam Bam in the hall and I was sitting there like with my bass player and I was like, that's Bam Bam Dewey Vasa.
Did you say g'day?
Oh, that one, I was a bit too nervous for that. I was like, I could say hey wrong and he could just put me in a sleeper hold. I don't know how I feel about that one.
Pile him up. I saw that when and that was classic. Luke Coombs gets Tui Vasa and Latrell Mitchell up on stage. Both blokes, by the way, who shouldn't be getting on the piss. One's about to have a UFC fight in September, and the other's about to enter NRL finals.
I would bet my bottom dollar that South Sydney Rabbitohs are on a booze ban. I saw that and I was like,
But no. Luke called you on stage. What are you going to do? Yeah.
He didn't really scull it either. Like, it looks like he had him out.
I think I
saw the clip. Yeah, Latrell, like 3/4 of the beer goes down his shirt.
It looked like a responsible shoot.
Are you surprised by the fan bases? You know what I mean? Like, who's been the craziest?
Oh, last night was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It was our biggest crowd that we've played too. Auckland too.
That's a surprise to me.
I'd never left the country. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I'd heard country was big over there. Obviously, you have artists like Kaylee Bell. But we went there, and from the minute I walked on stage, they were at 100 already.
Right.
And it just kept going the whole night. Like, I think people who were seating and up in the nosebleeds, they were standing from Luke's first song to his last song, singing every single word.
Yeah.
They don't take it for granted in New Zealand. They're always stoked to get artists over there. I
someone
feel
to
like
visit
they're
them,
like, all right, well, if these guys will come out for us, we're
we
going to
better
give it
turn
our
up.
all. Was it just Auckland you did in New Zealand?
Yeah, we just did Auckland, but it was like there was people come from the South Island. I found out North, and it's like they just say that Auckland is the only part of the North Island. So it's very north versus south. It's like a state of origin kind of rivalry.
For sure. Yeah.
South Islanders get very heated about the North.
Oh, yeah, and the South Islanders are like the Queenslanders of the North, like the Queenslanders of New Zealand. I had met a bunch of them out front of it was Bruce Springsteen was in town. I was floating around Auckland. I was actually out front of the casino. And these kids were wearing their moleskin trousers, R.M. Williams boots, and striped button-ups. I said, what are you Queenslanders doing here? They go, what are you talking about? We're from your CFO. I said, because they're all sheep farmers. They're all the same kind of... They all love their country music.
Yeah.
And they've got one All Black, that they brag about from each hometown. Yeah. But Auckland would have surprised me as a big country music hub, though, just to fill a venue. Yeah. Were the Queenslanders going rowdy? You did 2 nights up there?
We did 2 nights up there. They were good. I mean, I think I'm a bit biased. I will say New South Wales was better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Friday night, I don't know, it felt good, but something about Saturday night, maybe it was just the crowd was a bit more rowdy.
Yeah, a bit looser.
Yeah.
And then what was the yarn that you guys had to play the penalty shootout?
Yeah, on the stage, like before Luke walked out, they played the final penalty.
Yeah, right.
Like the final penalty kick, and it went nuts. I was out doing a sign, and as it was happening, and like the whole forecourt of the entertainment centre erupts, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, the Matildas won, and then the whole line, and me included, we all was like,
yeah. Oh, it sounds like a good vibe up there. I want to know with your history of performing, it doesn't matter where you've come from. I think Kudos Bank Arena is you're thrown into the fire,
Yeah.
So what was the biggest stage you'd played on before?
We did CMC in March. Played the Campers Bar at CMC, and that was hot, sweaty, and very, very rowdy.
Yeah, of course. Big piss up.
Doesn't get much more rowdy than that.
CMC. And those guys have been the ones that have been... They managed to pull off a CMC in COVID, I think. They're real troopers. They've been keeping it up for years. But is that... What do you think? Like, your Kudos gig would have been...
20?
It was 18,000.
Yeah, would have been bigger than bigger than most artists have played in this country.
Yeah,
like about 90%.
I mean, like just over a year ago, I was sitting in the corner of pubs back in Tamworth.
Yeah.
Like the people that were paying attention to me was just my mum, and that's what she brought me to the gig.
Well, you've done well, Lane.
How is playing in pubs as a young underage man?
Look, it's interesting because people don't know how old I am. So in my breaks, I come up. You want a beer? No, sorry, can't.
I do want one. I would love one.
I wouldn't. if I was 18, I would say yes.
Yeah,
but legally,
I've got to
have
do
say
the
no.
got to do the right thing by this publican who's allowed me in the front bar. Yeah.
Have you still got the boys coming to concerts, or is it kind of you've blown up so much now? They're like, oh, we'll catch you in a couple of years' time.
Well, it's like all my mates, like they'd love to. I've slowly started converting them to country music, but we're all in year 12, so they're actually doing what I should be doing and focusing on the HSC.
That'd be just around the corner, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's like a month and a half. Like I skip the trials. My manager had like normally like on a sick day, you're like, Lane was away because blah blah blah. My note said, Lane cannot do the trials. He's on a national tour with Luke Combs.
Yeah.
He was like,
surely 18,000 at Kurdice Bank, that's got to be worth a few bonus points, right? We get 10,
hoping.
15 on the ATAR for that.
surely give me some bonus ATAR points.
But it's a funny one, isn't it? Like, of course, this is only going to happen at this moment. You know, you've got to make the call.
Yeah.
Am I doing my HSC? Am I going on tour? It's like one of those ones where you know, and it happens to athletes at this age too.
Yeah.
You want to get a trade, or do you want to come to the Rabbitohs? You know what I mean? So you're going straight into first grade, mate. That's what's happening with you.
I'm up in the big leagues now.
Yeah. What's the plans for the rest of the year after you've obviously finished your education?
Yeah, educate, stay in school.
Yeah.
I will preface that it's a good place. We've got a lot of new music coming out. We released the new single last Wednesday, which is great. We launched that at the start of the tour in Auckland, and a couple of new songs out by the end of the year too, and then obviously gearing up for a big January in Tamworth, and just getting on the road. Me and the boys, we're going to hit the road.
Yeah.
Au revoir, Tamworth.
So these are your mates?
That's
or
my
your
band.
band. And so how old are these boys?
They're like mid. Youngest band member Kurt's like 25, 26,
Okay,
and
so
my guitarist, he's Kimbo. He's I think he's in his 40s, but he still gets rowdy with us, which is good.
For sure. But it's probably a bit better that your band's staggered like that, and it's not 5 18-year-olds hitting the wide open road.
If the band was all my age, there would be not a lot of responsibility going on back there.
It'd be schoolies week for a year. Yeah.
And there'd be some low energy concerts around the place, I imagine.
Yeah, you've got a few veterans to rizz you up, spice you up. Well, I'm excited to see what's to come from you, mate. But yeah, you know, if you were able to pull off last night, I don't think there's much that'll spook you.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty daunted walking out behind of the curtain last night. I was like, oh, but it was cool. We had a camera crew with us filming, filming stuff. So I was like, no, right, I got to go out there and I got to perform and I got to do my job. So I didn't have a second to get nervous because I had my cameraman follow me up on the stage. I was like, can't look nervous, have to look cool for the video.
That's an interesting strategy just you boil it up, and then once you start singing, it kind of releases it all.
Yeah, I mean, and me and the boys, we've rehearsed this set. We know it like the back of our hands now. So as soon as my drummer hits his first beat, I'm like, cool, I know what's happening, and I know where I've got to be. And it's good having a wireless mic too. I just walk around and be a bit of an idiot on stage.
Good, yeah, I saw that. That was good. You can kind of. It's almost like you're giving a sermon, you know what I mean? You're running back and forth. Wireless mic on your head, was it? Or?
They're like my ears. They're just so that I can hear what's going on. Because that crowd, they were loud last night too.
They would have been, yeah. So do you often pick up the guitar?
Every now and then. I mean, I'm getting to the stage now where I can use these wireless mics. And I think there's a thrill of just performing to people and not having to worry about playing a guitar and being able to walk and stuff. So I'm starting to delve into that a bit more, which is good.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, as I said, mate, you've had the baptism of fire on the tour you've been on. And, you know, but that says it all that these blokes picked you, you know, that they saw you. Was it on social media?
Yeah, I think, and when we auditioned for The Voice, Channel 7 didn't have the rights for the good Luke tune, so they had to send it off to Luke's manager, Cappy, and I got the approval, and they were looking for a tour opener, and my name got thrown into the ring, and it all kind of worked out.
There we go. Well, mate, all the best for you heading into 2024 when you finally become old enough to vote and take part in civilised society.
Just a quick question to round it out. What subjects you got in the HSC?
Music, obviously.
Yep.
Had to pick that. That's going to be the good mark.
That'll be a big lift.
Hard for you.
Yeah, I'm bringing the boys in for that. It's like 2 weeks after we get back. So I said, boys, come play my HSC. Don't dog me. And they're like,
get me a band 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm doing SLR. Love that. It's just PE prac. It's such
a
blood. We've done like darts was one of our assessments this year.
Awesome.
So I'm fully prepped for the pubs next year.
That's great.
Max marks on darts. Investigating science.
Yeah.
It's like easy science. Chemistry. No, thank you. Too confusing.
Playing with a Bunsen burner and that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had to do this experiment. It was just like play with Hot Wheels for a lesson. I was like, yeah, this is my kind of science.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I do standard maths and standard English.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
That's a well-rounded education. And plus, you're learning a lot on tour with a lot of large Southern American gentlemen who...
I learn what to do and I learn what not to do.
Yeah. Pick up a bit of street smarts there as well, I reckon. But we're excited for you, Lane. Thank you for coming in and having a chat with us.
No, thanks for having me, boys.